We start now lesson number 7, the main, most important facts about the Italian constitutional system, which is the lesson will answer to these questions, which is Italy's form of state, which is Italy's form of government, how are the main powers of a state divided, where can I find the fundamental principles of the Italian constitution, which are the main checks and balances of the Italian state, what are the most important principles about the judiciary. First question, which is the form of state of Italy? The answer we can find in Article 1 of our Constitution. Who detains the sovereignty in Italy? The people. So Italy can be defined as a democracy. Italy is a democracy, the people detain sovereignty. Sovereignty is exercised by the people in the forms and within the limits of the Constitution. So, according to Article 1, paragraph 2 of our Constitution, even the sovereign people must respect the rules established in the Constitution. Italy applies the rule of law, which we will see has been stated for the first time in a written document in the Magna Carta Libertatum. So Italy's form of state is a democracy. Which is Italy's form of government? Italy is a democratic republic founded on work. So Italy, the answer to question number 2 is that Italy is a form of government, is a republic. This is also called the statement of the Republican principle, which is with the democratic principle, the first two principles, which altogether they are the first two principles stated in Article 1 of our Constitution. This part is immutable. Republican form of government is not subject to change by the constitutional revision process. It is impossible, according to Article 139 of our Constitution, it is impossible to change the form of government. If that is changed, that would be a coup d'etat, would change the form of government and the form of state as well. The form of government and the form of state. What do we need to have a democracy? Which are the elements which have to be present in a state in order to call it a democracy? We start with a citizen rule, the so-called citizen rule, which means that free elections are held at regular intervals, but a plurality of parties take part in those elections. One party is not enough, as we've seen in Italy with the listone del Partito of a Fascist Party, or we've seen for a lot of years in communist countries with just a communist party taking part in elections. That's not a democracy. And there has to be the effective possibility for the opposition to win and become a majority. So citizen rule, it means all that. Second element which has to be present, majority rule and minority rights. Majority rules means that the majority rules and decides things. The principle of majority applies when the majority decides something, that is done. But minority rights, the minority still has to have rights, can fight and become, hopefully, a majority sooner or later. Third element which has to be present, protection of human rights. It is not a democracy, the one where people are subject to the power of a state without any right. The difference between a subject and a citizen is in the democratic form of state. So human rights are recognized, personal liberty, and recognized, not only recognized, but also defended, and you can defend your human rights in trial. Personal liberty, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and the principle of equality is recognized expressly in the Constitution, as is in Article 3 of our Constitution. Division of powers, another element which is necessary. The doctrine of separation of power must be applied and strictly respected by all the powers. None of the powers must take over the others. Last but not least, pluralism in mass media system. You have more. You have to be able as a citizen to hear more than one voice and to decide freely to which voice to listen to. Okay. Well, how are the main powers of a state divided? We said separation of powers. We have three main powers, three different organs. legislative branch or legislative to the parliament, executive branch or executive power to the government, judicial branch or judiciary power to all the judges. Each judge is holder of the judiciary power. What happens? Are there exceptions? Yes, of course there are. We have law decrees and legislative decrees. The president, so we have legislative acts which are approved by the government. So we have a government approving laws. And we have a president of the republic who isn't holder of any of these powers, but interacts with all of them. So he's really holder also of all of them, a little part of them. Legislative branch, we have a perfect bicameralism, we said, two chambers doing the same things, Chamber of Deputies, Senators, Senate of the Republic. We have a government, which is a complex organ, Council of Ministers, President of a Council of Ministers, ministers with and without portfolio. We have a judiciary, civil and criminal judges, administrative judges, judges of third, second degree, the cassation court. This is all the judicial branch. Okay, where can I find the main constitutional principles? First 12 articles, we already know. Article 1, democratic and republican principle. Article 2, personalistic principle, everybody has rights. The republic recognizes human rights. People do already have them. And also, the republic wants everybody to fulfill his solidarity duties, so to act in order to do that. Third article, maybe the most beautiful article of our Constitution, Article 3, the equality principle, not only formal equality but also substantial equality, laboristic principle, the right and the duty to work to contribute to the material or spiritual progress of society. Article 5, about the state and the regions. The state is one and cannot be divided, but the state gives things to do to the regions and to other territorial bodies in order to help people have the best services. Then, principle of safeguarding linguistic minorities, Article 6. Article 7 and 8 are about the church and the state, principle of independence, and principle of agreement. The state must find agreements not only with the Catholic Church, but also with other confessions. Principle of secularism, we're in a licensed state, and principle of agreement again. Principle of Article 9, promotion of culture and research, principle of preservation of environment and of cultural heritage. Article 10, principle of automatic adaptation to international rules, right of asylum, prohibition of extradition for political offenses. All these rules in the Constitution to make them very difficult to change. Pacifist, Italy repeals the law. It rejects the law. We don't want to fight in the war. It rejects the law. We don't want to fight in a war, for sure. How is the Italian flag made? Article 12. Again, main checks and balances. We said perfect bicameralism, President of the Republic, High Council of the Judiciary, Constitutional Court. These are the checks and balances in our Constitution. If they work well, our system will remain a democracy and will work well. If they don't work well, that is going to be a great problem for us sooner or later. Last principles about the judiciary. Judges are subject only to the law, prohibition to establish special or extraordinary judges, autonomy and independence of the judicial branch, competitive exams to appoint the judges, fair trial or due process, public prosecutor must institute legal proceedings. These are the main principles, and this is all for today's lesson. Thank you very much for your attention.